What up, people? Unless you've been living under a rock, you're probably aware that the Switch 2 was announced by Nintendo a couple of weeks ago. Because of how excited I am about it and how much I enjoyed my first 7 years with the original Switch, it made me start thinking about the top things I would like to see with this new upcoming console. So I decided to make a list of the top 10 things I want from the Switch 2, kind of like a wish list. They're not all just games, some of them will be hardware and software stuff as well, but they're all things I would want to make my overall Switch 2 experience even better. But before we start, I want to let people new to the channel know that I make videos about single player games and I usually focus on RPGs. If that type of content interests you and you're enjoying this video, hit the like button to help spread this video around. And now, let's get started. The first game I want to talk about is probably one that I'm assuming is kind of obvious, and that's a sequel to my favorite Mario game and favorite platformer ever, Mario Odyssey. I didn't have a Switch at launch, so I got this a lot later, but once I got to the second world or so, I was addicted. The second I got home, whether it was from work or just in general, I would take my Switch out the dock and sink some more hours into it. I know people are exhausted with open world games, but I myself still love them, and each kingdom felt like their own separate world to explore, and I enjoy exploring every nook and cranny to find as many stars as possible. Bowser Kingdom was probably my favorite, by the way. The reason I say a sequel to Mario Odyssey is obvious is because it came out with the launch of the first Nintendo Switch and it sold over 28 million copies, so I would assume a sequel will come with the launch of the sequel console as well. And even though Super Mario Wonder came out and was also received well, that seemed more of a fun spin-off rather than the main Mario series for the Hyper console. Now, like I said, Mario Odyssey is my favorite Mario and favorite platformer ever, so maybe I'm just trying to talk myself into believing it's coming, but it really feels like that's the next Mario game that's going to be announced. Hopefully. Sticking with platformers, next thing I would love to see is a remake. While Mario Odyssey is my favorite platformer, my second favorite one and also favorite Kirby game is Kirby and the Crystal Shards, or Kirby 64 for short. Now, I'm aware that I can play the original on Nintendo Switch Online, but I would rather own it as opposed to just subscribing to a service just to play it. What caused me to want this one was one, I just love Kirby, but specifically it was how much I enjoyed Kirby in the Forgotten Land. The game had great gameplay, music, and level design all wrapped up in a semi-open world. It almost feels like a spiritual successor of Kirby 64 in a way. And honestly, if Forgotten Land had the combining powers like 64 did, I would probably have it above it as my favorite Kirby game. Unlike Mario Odyssey, this one probably isn't going to happen, especially since I'm not sure how popular Kirby 64 was when it came out in the year 2000. But with the new Nintendo console coming out this year, I would love to see one of my favorite Nintendo games get a new coat of paint. Next, I want to talk about the GameCube and how its library needs to be more of a priority during the Switch 2's era. I know we're already gotten Metroid Prime, Super Mario Sunshine, and just recently Paper Mario, so I'm hoping that trend continues. Games I played when I was younger like Super Smash Bros. Melee and Mario Kart Double Dash would be welcome additions that I'd be willing to pay full price to own. And as someone who has become a huge JRPG and Fire Emblem fan, I'll talk about them later, I would love for Path of Radius to come to the Switch 2 so I can play as one of my favorite Smash Bros. Characters, Ike, and watch him fight for his friends. Also, I, like a lot of people, have been waiting forever to play Wind Waker, and that should be one of the first ones ported over to the new Switch console. And while I do feel ports of the GameCube games make more sense from a financial standpoint, I also wouldn't mind them just making a GameCube tier for the Nintendo Switch Online service. I never paid for the higher tier of Nintendo Switch Online with the expansion pass because I didn't really see a lot of value in it. But if they had a GameCube tier along with the N64 and Game Boy Advance tiers, plus more DLC content in the future, I definitely would consider it even though I already spend way too much on subscriptions already. But whether it's sports for purchase or a new tier for a subscription service, there are some amazing games from the GameCube era that more modern Nintendo fans should have access to. While we're talking about subscription services, I would love for Game Pass to be available on the Nintendo Switch. Even though I have all three consoles and a Steam Deck, I find myself playing the Xbox the least. However, I still think Game Pass is one of the best values in gaming. With all the Xbox's first party being available day one, plus their impressive lineup slated for 2025, having Game Pass available as many places as possible would be great for everyone. Now, what's the chance of this actually happening? Honestly, probably higher than you think. We all know about Xbox games slowly coming over to PS5, and Xbox is trying to get Game Pass on as many screens as possible. With their whole "This is an Xbox" initiative, including starting to have Game Pass on smart TVs, adding a subscription service to Nintendo doesn't seem like a crazy idea, especially because it seems like Microsoft and Nintendo are kind of cool with each other. While I'll probably never buy an Xbox again, I still like what Game Pass provides as a service, and if I can get that on a console I'm going to use a lot like the Nintendo Switch, that would be amazing. These next couple things on the list are more on the technical side of the console, and up first is the resolution of the Switch game. When I first bought my Nintendo Switch in 2018, there was so many amazing games to play. Whether it was first party exclusives, ports, or indies, there was so much to play on the Nintendo Switch that I didn't even notice or have any problems with the graphics or resolutions. However, now we're in 2025 and the Switch has definitely shown its age. The games are still great, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't avoid buying games on the Switch other than exclusives. Hell, even the exclusives are starting to look not the best. I'm playing Echoes of Wisdom right now, which is really fun by the way, but it looks pretty bad on my TV, and handheld isn't too much better. Thankfully, with the new Switch 2, that means you're getting much better looking games in the future, as well as the games already in your library. Over the past year, I've been wondering how much better games are going to look on the new console, and what's the bare minimum I would want to see. Like most people, I primarily play handheld, so I care much more about how games look undocked. And honestly, if I can get 1080-60 on games while playing handheld, I'll be happy. Obviously, higher than 1080 would be great, but not needed for me. Now, when it comes to playing on my TV, I'm a little more forgiving. Even though I have a 4K OLED TV, I don't expect 4K 60 out of a Nintendo console anytime soon. But if we can get 4K upscaling or something, like the Xbox Series S, that would be great. I don't know much about power in consoles. Is 4K upscaling a possibility, or am I crazy? Let me know. Okay, this next one I know probably won't ever happen, but I'm really passionate about it. This also applies to the PlayStation too, but I really wanted Nintendo to bring back gaming themes. One of my favorite things about using my 3DS and PS4 was the game themes. Having your 3DS change the art, logos, sound effects, and background music was something I couldn't get enough of. Nothing was better than getting ready to play a new game and having the magic theme to go with it. And unlike PlayStation, Nintendo lets you randomize your favorite themes, so every time you booted up your 3DS, you would get a different one, which was really cool. Imagine moving forward, we could just buy themes for first-party games like Mario, Zelda, Kirby, Pokemon, Xenoblade, and Fire Emblem for like $5 to $10. I would buy those in a heartbeat. Like I said, this unfortunately most likely won't happen for whatever reason, which sucks, but it is what it is. Side note, what was your favorite theme for the 3DS if you own one? Mine was probably the Persona Q one. Let me know in the comment section below. Baldur's Gate 3 really opened my eyes to how amazing cross saves are for someone who has multiple consoles and handhelds. Being able to play the game on my PS5 and my 4K TV and then move that save over to my Steam Deck is great because I'm getting the best of both worlds. It would be great to be able to cross save with third-party games between Switch 2 and your choice of PS5, Xbox, or PC. Especially someone like me who plays a lot of 50+ hour RPGs, buying games like Witcher 4 or Persona 6 twice just to be able to do this wouldn't even bother me too much, but it'd only be for like a select list of games. While I do have a PlayStation Portal which technically alleviates this issue, double dipping on a few games to avoid having to stream over Wi-Fi would be more ideal for games that I'm really excited about. Okay, moving back over to games, I would Nintendo to keep making Zelda games with the Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom art style. I love unique art styles in games, and these games have easily some of my favorites. The whole game is so colorful and cute and legit looks like you're playing with toys out of a toy box. I even bought the Link amiibo, and I never buy amiibos. The music is also incredible as well, with the two games which adds to the overall coziness I get while playing handheld in bed. With Echoes of Wisdom being made, I'm assuming sales from Link's Awakening remake were pretty good, so I just want Nintendo to keep that going. Just like Mario Odyssey, it's pretty safe to say that another Fire Emblem game is going to come out at some point during this new Nintendo Switch era. While Fire Emblem Engage sold only 1.6 million, Fire Emblem Three Houses impressively has sold over 4 million copies, making it the highest selling Fire Emblem game in the franchise. But why did Engage, which came out after Three Houses, not even sell half as many copies? Some will point to the lack of promotion and marketing compared to Three Houses, which I do believe was a part of it, but I also feel like it was something else. I think the quality or lack thereof in the writing and overall story was also a big reason why Engage couldn't reach the same numbers sales-wise. Some people also said that the lack of social sim stuff was also a reason, but I'm kind of on the fence about that. But I digress. While the gameplay of Engage I feel is better than Three Houses, the story doesn't even come close. I personally feel the Blue Lions route is the best in Three Houses, and the way it makes you care about the characters and the effects this war is having on them, specifically Dimitri and Edelgard, is vastly superior to anything we got in Engage. And that's why I feel if another Fire Emblem game does come out this generation, which I feel is pretty much a given, I hope they really focus on telling a well thought out story with fleshed out characters, even without multiple branching paths. Also, Edelgard is the devil. This last one's kind of random, but I would love if Nintendo came out with a new first-party RPG franchise. If you've been to the channel before, you know that RPGs are my favorite genre of games, and far and away the ones I play the most. And while Nintendo already has some amazing RPGs like the Xenoblade series, the Mario spin-offs, and the aforementioned Fire Emblem games, I would love if they made another one. Now, I go back and forth between whether I want it to be action or turn-based, but me being biased, I lean a little bit more towards wanting a real-time action RPG. I know we already have Astral Chain, but I'm not sure if it's sold well enough to get a sequel. Or even better, with me being such a big fan of Baldur's Gate 3 and Divinity Original Sin 2, it'd be kind of cool for Nintendo to make their own CRPG, but make it more simple and add cute and fun characters so kids and people new to the genre won't feel intimidated by it. The more I'm thinking about it, I'm actually more interested in this than the action RPG idea. Imagine getting a more laid-back, top-down Baldur's Gate 3 style game with some cartoony-looking characters for your party. You play that, right? But whether it's real-time action, CRPG, turn-based, or even an MMO, I think a new RPG franchise would be great for Nintendo and more importantly, me. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of RPGs and that's primarily what I talk about on this channel, but I also have a lot of Nintendo content as well. If either of those things interest you, check out one of the videos on the screen. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.